taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm meant to lance that sense of inferiority. He knew it would be painful. He knew that people could kill you because of it, but he dared to take that risk.
He was saying something over and above that of any other leader of that day. While the other leaders were begging for entry into the house of their oppressor, he was telling you to build your own house.
Build your own house. Crazy concept, right? Crazy. But we'll get there one day. Sorry for the earlier technical difficulties. I did notice there was a Windows update, and this is one of the things that happens when your computer does updates. Brother Dorian, I guess you can hear me now. It looks like my system, I had to do some reconfiguration because of a Windows update that happened right before I came on. So I apologize for that. And we're going to get into it. Wasn't really going to do a show today because it's my birthday. And I went and got my physical and all that type of stuff that you do when you're getting old out here. And came home, had to do some yard work and stuff like that. But that's why my appearance is what it is. Power to the people. So I'm just going to get right into it because it's some things. I saw a, was it a Facebook post or something? Somebody said, let's stop making famous people, stupid people famous. That's what it was. Let's stop making stupid people famous. And at first I thought it was a little harsh. Then I thought about it and said, no, it's got a lot of truth in it. My father used to say, son, you don't have to be doing anything for something to happen to you. So if you're doing something, you have increased your chances for something to happen to you. There's a couple of things going on right now, like right in Chicago now. We got the young 13-year-old boy, the Toledo boy, who was shot and killed by the police after a chase. And most people on there are saying that I'm not showing the clips. You can go to COP, Chicago Office of Police Accountability, COPA, their site, and you can see all the videos. Make your own conclusions. There were a lot of problems with this situation. First, you got a young man that's 13 out at 2-something in the morning with an adult or a so-called adult, and they've got a gun. And you see them shooting the gun. I don't know who they're shooting the gun at. And you see them running. And then they got all these different angles. It does look like, if you only see this one video, it looks like he turned around and his hands were up. From another angle, it looks like he dropped the gun or threw the gun down or whatever, which is still the same thing of he was unarmed. It's kind of a strange situation. I'll tell you this much how your mind may work. One day I'm walking home, and I see this guy. Now I'm on 40, about 46 when I see this guy. I live on 40th. It's really still kind of wintertime, but he's on a bike with kind of a windbreak on. My mind starts working like, okay, watch this dude. Let's see what this dude doing, you know. I keep walking. I see him ride going one way. Then I see him riding back going another way. Then I see him riding the same way I'm going. So my mind says, if I cut this lot and this guy turns his corner, I know he want to get down. He want to do something. So sure enough, I get ready to cross the lot. The guy makes the turn. He stops his bike and he says something to me. Do you know if I would have had my gun on me, I would have shot that dude dead? Sometimes it's not, you don't have a whole lot of time to think. I had time to think about it. But in my mind, this dude was on some stuff. So my mind automatically clicked into savior mode, save myself mode, and I pretended to have a gun. And I said, no, you straight. And he went on around the corner. It was enough to get him off of me. And a lot of times, that's what we got to start thinking in a different set. Now, if that guy was right up on me and pulled out his gun, I would have just gave it to him. There's no need for struggling and fighting in these situations. So this young man was running, tried to toss the gun. Looked like he may have already tossed the gun, but from the angle that the officer's looking at, maybe he didn't see him toss the gun. There's a whole lot of stuff going into that, but I don't want to see people out here looting and tearing up the streets like there was not some type of activity going on. Not excusing anything that cops do, but we got to stop excusing the behaviors that lead to this type of stuff. You got that shooting of the young man in Minneapolis, Dwayne Wright or whatever his name is. Let's stop acting like this dude wasn't doing anything. You're acting like this dude was just taking a walk in the park, not saying what the cop did was right. You can't do it. That's why the title of this show today is called Seriously, Just Stop It. Because the stuff you're doing, and maybe we're not giving out the rules for engagement. There's no fighting the police and resisting the police once they got you in custody. There's no jumping back in cars. None of that. Because if you don't know what's going to happen, let me explain to you what's going to happen. You're going to get shot in your ass, period. Anything you do to escalate, oh man, so-and-so, get out your fucking emotions. Ain't nobody got time for emotional men. That is a female characteristic. And most of the time you get it from being raised around women and not being raised around men that tell you and show you how to conduct yourself out here on the streets so you're not in these situations. Then we had this a few months ago with the Blake situation. Oh, well, I'm just going to walk away from these cops and that's going to be it. No. Now, for the rest of his life, he still got his life, but for the rest of his life, he's going to replay that in his mind again and again, and then he's going to come to the conclusion that I did some stupid shit. I shouldn't have did it. I got to step up and be a man and admit to the reason I'm paralyzed for the rest of my life is not just because of that cop, but it's because of my own actions. And we ain't talking about the actions of cops. We're talking about our actions. Most black men are going to have a situation. I've been thrown to the ground by cops. I've had my money taken by cops. If I had some liquor or some illicit drugs or whatever, taken by cops. dropped off in other neighborhoods, trying to get you to trick on people. All that. Somebody's got to start teaching the young people what it means to interact with these folks, because you all got it all twisted. When you go to the zoo, most people, even if it wasn't a sign there that says don't stick your hand in this cage, they don't stick their hand, you won't stick your hand in the cage. Because there's a tiger in that cage, there's a bear, there's a lion, or whatever's in that cage. And when you stick your hand in that cage and it bites your hand off, they kill the animal. Because they don't want to send a message to the animal that being an animal is a good thing. You're only there for our pleasure, to serve as we want you to serve. It's the same way they look at us. We're only here to serve their purpose the way they want it served. And when you step out of that line, that circle, that's when you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble. Now, this young man in Minneapolis has some warrants, a gun charge, and some other stuff. Still doesn't say this officer gets to shoot and kill him. But we've seen this before, where a guy was on the expressway, hands up, multiple officers around, even a helicopter was in the sky. And a female officer shot and killed this man. That's totally different than somebody jumping back in a car. Once they got you in handcuffs, take your chance. There was an attorney came on and she said, shut your mouth. Don't take any water from them. Don't take any cigarettes from them. They are trying to get your DNA. She said you may have to take that ass whooping to get your freedom. You may have to go through a whole bunch of stuff, but the object is to still be alive in order to pursue that. I'm tired of all these emotional young people out here in the streets acting a damn fool, trying to get their likes up on the internet or whatever. What about the lieutenant army sergeant that was pepper sprayed in the gas station? You got a right to ask the police whatever you want. I'm telling you now, don't do it. If the officer says get out the car, just get out the car. Oh, you sound like a punk. No, I'm sounding like a sensible person that knows when I'm dealing with lions. I'll take my chance of stepping out the car. Everybody jumps on, well, he's going to file a lawsuit. Yeah, he's going to file a lawsuit. But what do the lions care? The taxpayers, we're going to pay that lawsuit. So that's more money coming out of our pockets, our resources that we already don't have nothing. We out here changing it. What you changing? You destroying property? I always say, if when we get around to talking about real change and taking back our communities and stuff like that, I'm all for it. But I'm not marching nowhere for these people. Tired of marching. Why don't we replace marching with planning? Wouldn't that be a strange concept? Dorian says not all cops are bad people, but some, they show up to work and practice white supremacy. Yeah, basically, a lot of the Klans members became police officers. Sorry, that's what it was. Not only did they become police officers, they became judges, lawyers, politicians. they wrote the laws that'll keep you in prison. I was watching an interesting documentary called Coded Bias on, I think that was Netflix. And they were looking into the fact that software companies and software developers were coding bias into the programs because they were racist people writing the code. And so inherently, when you code the way that you think. And it was exposed. Amazon was a big part of the case of some of their hiring practices and things like that. So just because you don't see the racism like it used to be, and it probably still happens. I've been called nigger multiple times standing on the bus stop. I remember getting lost one day and I just stopped. I didn't want to stop and ask these white people for some directions, but I was lost, so I said, I'm going to go on over here and ask the white folks for some directions. Something simple. And a few of them were okay, and then there was the other parts that were like, in my mind, I'm thinking, don't make me have to fuck these kids up. Because they were young folks, you know, hanging out in the woods or whatever they were doing. But I already understood they were raised with these biases and prejudices and racisms in their life. But we don't get to excuse their behavior. You had, what's this guy's name, Chauvin today at the court. He says he's not going to testify, pleading the fifth. Because the fix is already in. He doesn't have to get up there and satisfy our thoughts of what we feel about what he did. I'm already taking bets. I say he'll probably get 12 years. For such a heinous crime that happened all around the world, he'll probably get 12 years. That's the system we live under, and that's the choice that we make. Because we're not choosing to, I'll say, we're not choosing to find our originality. We're not seeking to have a new identity. We're still fighting for an American identity. We're still yelling, we're Americans. Why are we screaming that? What's the purpose? What is that doing for us screaming we're Americans? Can somebody please tell me? Our pain hidden behind stripes and bars. Land of the free, land not ours. Why are we so gung-ho on America? We're like the nomads of the planet, that we don't have a connection, but instead of connecting back to our originality, we connect to our captives. And around the world, they laugh at us because they know, like, these people are crazy. They don't get it. They don't want to mess with their own people because they don't see that the unity is in you having a connection with your people. But we don't, the people that don't get that. And all the protesters, I can't do your individual, I'm mad, Black Lives Matter protest when it doesn't matter in the neighborhood. When the killings keep going up, and I know you say, oh, well, this happens and this happens. Grandmother gave me a great saying. She said, it's not the place, it's the people. And she proved that to us when we lived at 562 East 40th in Chicago, walk-ups. And the building wasn't in the best shape when we got there. And she knew I didn't want to be there. I think it was like my 16th birthday we moved in. And she said, it's not the place, it's the people. And we going to show them. And she had a plan. And it wasn't complaining about the situation. It was about changing the situation. Duran says, how can you possibly call yourself an American and you love this country and don't love you back? That's what we're talking about. I mean, that's at the beginning of my show, there's this line by Ossie Davis, and he was saying how Malcolm was trying to break our love for the white man and for this country. But it had been so ingrained into us that it was dangerous to try to present us with an opposite of what a majority of the black people had been indoctrinated into in this country. So we went and we fought wars. Every war that America fought, we were a part of. And we thought we changed, and they said, nope, we're still not going to change. I don't care how many wars you fight. We still going to redline you. We still going to treat you differently. So it's almost like we're on the same path. They said, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We don't get it most of the time. But we've been here for so long. We've raised our families here. We've indoctrinated our children into the same system. So I get it when our children now embrace other cultures more than we embraced those cultures when we were younger, because we lived in more segregated communities. Now we got money and stuff like that, so we put our kids in these other communities, and they see how other children live, and these children want to be our children's friends. And then they start convincing our children that, no, we're all the same. This is great. And it's not. Constantly have to tell young people, not saying there's anything wrong with these other people, but we are still in the position where we have to think differently and do differently until we get what we need. You can feel sorry for other people all you want, but if they don't feel sorry for you, the one that has been suffering the most, then that's a problem. And I don't know why we don't get that that's a problem, but that's a problem. So I don't run to the front of the line to support anybody else but black people. Does that make me wrong? In some people's eyes, but I don't see other people rushing to the front of the line to help us. And since we've been in the line the longest, I think we deserve a slice of pie before anybody else. Oh, there's enough to go around. No, there's not enough to go around until we correct the situation that happened with us. And it's up to us to do that. We can wait on the government to correct it forever, and we'll be here another 400 years talking about what the government's doing to us. Meanwhile, everybody will be looking like, okay, well, what you guys doing for yourself? I talk about the Black to Africa movement, and, I think we're going to have to make that move individually in our life. So I actually reached out to one of my African friends and said, hey, I think it's time to start having that conversation, that talk. And I just told him I need somebody in Africa that I can trust, that I can talk to and relate. And I've known these Africans for over 20 years here in the United States. But they still had their connections to the motherland. So their connection will have to be my connection. And I have to be willing to step up and change the things about me to identify with my African brothers and sisters. So I may have to learn a Yoruba language or something like that. I may have to learn the politics of that land. I may have to learn the business structures of that land. Because if in my mindset I can say, I started building this bridge and I built it so far, and then my child builds it a little bit further, until eventually there's a whole connection for great-grandchildren to live and grow in a place of originality where they're not worried about this racist society and all that goes on here. Dorian says, I think that our time comes. I just have to live and learn. That's the whole thing. We live and learn. We had, like we talked about last week, the young people have to be willing to listen to the older people, and the older people have to be willing to listen to the younger people, and have to find the median. The young people will just, they've got their own ideas. They don't have their own financing. They know they're mad, but they don't have a economic plan to move away from that madness, because we didn't give them one, because one wasn't given to us, because we're taught to survive in this country. Very few of us are living. I make it day by day. I'm 56 years old today, so it is what it is. I've been here 56 years. I've been able to pay my bills for 56 years. Some people may say that's a success. You got a house, you got 2 cars, you got your own business, your wife's got a job, you got a dog, you got a fence, all this the stuff. Okay, yeah, I worked and I got all the stuff and I endured, and then I finally escaped the plantation a few years ago. So I'm 54 by the time, 53 by the time I escaped the plantation. Most of the time, that was the time where the slaves were broken down. They had worked so much from the time that they were infants to the time that they were about 50-some years old, usually about 66 years old. You'd probably be a dead slave at that point. So the hardships of life is something that we did not pass on. We didn't pass down a plan that says, this is what we're doing, young brothers and sisters. This is what we want to do. We don't have time to spend resources and money on marches. If we're going to spend money, we're going to spend money on developing our own communities, supporting our own brothers and sisters, supporting our own businesses in our own communities, having our own law enforcement. If we're using that same law enforcement, we only want people that reflect our skin color and our tone in our communities. Dorian said, I just want the best for my community and want it to thrive at the same time in my future. A lot of people have never seen the black community. I can guarantee you, most of the 80 babies that grew up in the 80s, but were born in the 80s, probably never saw a true black community where all the stores in the community were black, where all the politicians in the community were black, thriving businesses. Of course, we had our little elements, little gangs or whatever here. It's always been some type of street life in our existence, the hustlers. But even then, the hustler didn't try to get you to hustle. The drug man didn't sell you drugs, didn't try to get you to do anything. If anything, they tried to encourage you to do something different. Move this way, don't move this way. And we were all brothers and sisters growing up in the 60s and the 70s. We all said peace when we left. I still say peace. When people talk to me on the phone and we get off the phone, I say peace, brother. Then people say, oh, that's some fake hotep stuff. Don't nobody care. It's too many ways that we were divided on the plantation. And that's why I refuse to be in any type of groups or anything that divide anything. So that's why I don't support sororities and fraternities. What was the point? I know what the point was when our forefathers did it. It was a necessity. But what we do now with it is use it as another form of separation. You my brother and you my sister regardless. But if you look at me differently because I say something about your organization, no, you only get to look at me crazy if I say something about negative about being black. Not something negative about your sorority or your fraternity. You can miss me with all that Greek letter shit. Waste of time. Oh, we do stuff for the community. Well, yeah, but you still separate the community. And when I say community, I'm talking about the community of us all blacks. So miss me with all that. This, it is what it is. I got plenty of friends in fraternities. Knock yourself out. If that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. I'm more concerned with community and what our communities look like and who gets these resources, the things that we're seeing during this pandemic, what businesses still seem to be thriving because we helped them to thrive. The Arab businesses, they continue to thrive. Most of them weren't even looted during the time of the uprising. But I say, why aren't we economically saying we don't want you here anymore? We want to put a black business there. Oh, man, that's y'all being racist over there in Blacktown. Y'all are putting black businesses in the black community and not letting us take advantage of you. Ain't that what y'all do in y'all neighborhood? Oh, well, that's different than my neighborhood because my neighborhood is a separated neighborhood. We control the politics and have the power in our neighborhood. You live in a segregated neighborhood. You have no power. Nothing. Everything we give you all is something for you to fight over. We give you scraps to fight over, and that's what you all do. Because just like all these young people that are out here doing stupid shit with these police, we doing stupid shit with ourselves, with our life, with our understanding. That's because we weren't taught. And it takes a lot to break that cycle. I want to say, trying to think, because my cycle was broken years ago. I was corrupted probably by the time I was, because I wasn't saying the Pledge of Allegiance in grammar school. Got in trouble for it. I still wasn't saying it. By the time I got to high school, I met, today is Harold Washington's birthday. I had a teacher named Mr. Phillips. I was turning 18, and he said, "Mr. Robinson, do you know who Harold Washington is?" I'm like, I don't know who is Harold Washington. I hadn't heard the name. And he says he's about to be the first black mayor of Chicago. And I said, "How do you know that?" He says, "Because we've been working on it for 6 years behind the scene, out of the eye of the oppressor. Because sometimes you got to work together behind the scenes. So when you launch your attack, it's too late for them to react to it. Now you have to." They were like caught off guard with Harold and like, oh my God. And then they got their alliances together and says, no, you're going to hook up with us, but the stuff we're trying to do first, we're going to get this stuff done for the black people. Then we're going to get you Latinos, and then we're going to get you white folks. And that's the order it went in. And Harold won. And we were all happy, and we were dancing around the city. I was 18 years old. I didn't get to vote in that election because the election was the week before my birthday. So I didn't get to vote. But I got to vote for him the second time in 87, and then he was gone. But they had planned for 6 years prior to him being elected. That's all I'm asking us to do. Start thinking and planning for the next 50 years. Let's get that 50-year plan together and start thinking about it and moving ahead. And he says, Dorian says, you know that Chicago is founded by a black man, John Baptiste DuSable. Yes, we have the DuSable Museum right here in Chicago. I guess we can say we're members because me and my wife have a subscription, so we go there to all the events, the African festivals, and all that type of stuff. But that's about as much pub as they give John Baptiste DuSable in Chicago. It's the museum is right in the middle of the park. It's lovely in the middle of Washington Park. If you come to Chicago, it is a place that you should stop and see. They are moving ahead with the Obama Center. They're still trying to stop it because there's still no community agreement. And it's just hard for me to support something like that because, you know, it seems like a Trojan horse for other things that are going on in that community. So when Dorian, you talk about community, the thing is that you need to research and find out everything that's going on in your community and who's behind this and who's behind this and who's behind this, because that's the real activism of finding the information and sharing that information with the people that could benefit from that information or could help strategize something in the long run. So I've been on for a minute. I'm about to get back to celebrating my birthday. Thank you all for joining. Be safe out here. Please, you know, tell your brothers and sisters, seriously, just stop it. Stop all the fighting, the police, running from the police, all this type of stuff. Because if you're not doing nothing bad, you're probably not running from the police. That's just it. Hey, sis. See, my sister Nikki done joined us. It's no need to run if you ain't doing nothing bad. Like my dad used to say, hey, son, you ain't got to be doing nothing for something to happen to you, but if you doing stuff, if you selling drugs, be a man when the police roll up and put the handcuffs on, going to jail. Because you're not selling drugs for me. You're not selling drugs to help the black community. You need, personally, yeah, you probably need to go to jail for a little bit. Yeah, get your head right. If you shooting and killing people in the community, don't run, be a man, put the handcuffs on, go to jail now. Because you're not doing nothing for the black community. That's where I'm at. I could care less about a whole lot of other stuff. We got to work on our stuff because if our stuff's not together, we ain't going nowhere. And everybody's not going to get to go. Just like they say, everybody ain't going to heaven. Some people believe everybody going to heaven, but nope, that's why they got a lake of fire. I think you may go to heaven, but then there's a detour after your judgment. So and maybe in essence, everybody's going to heaven to talk to God, and then after that talk, you may not be staying in heaven. But I mean, that's the way I look at it. It's too much us posterizing everybody and saying everybody's good that happens in these situations. Tamar Rice, the little boy that was shot and killed, he wasn't doing anything. That's what's called innocent. Eric Gardner wasn't doing anything. He was innocent. Walter Scott wasn't really doing anything, but he chose to run. Running's gonna get you shot in the ass, guaranteed. Don't think there's rules that these people live by. Your destruction may be the only rule that they care about. Sandra Bland was really doing nothing. Traffic stop. She should not be dead. But she forgot how these people operate. These people are out here to seek and destroy. Okay, you think you got it like that, black person? Wait till I get you around this corner. Wait till I get you over here. Wait till I get you here. And it's sad. Dorian says in Houston they shot a 1-year-old, a cop. I don't know if that was accidental or not, but we get people shot all the time here in Chicago. We had a 2-year-old shot. We had a 8-year-old shot and eventually died. We probably get more kids shot and killed in Chicago than any place in. I think last year we had 26 kids under the age of 17 shot and killed in Chicago. And most of the time, we know the killers. Where's the protest in front of the killer house? We got the protest now going for the other dude that the Army sergeant came out and gave him some crap and all that. Then they went and stood in front of his house and protested. Okay, well, you know Ray Ray and them shot and killed so-and-so. Why ain't you in the neighborhood standing in front of Ray Ray's and them house saying, why'd you do it? We can't be accepting stuff on one end and not accepting it on the other end. It's a real situation out here, and like I say, people, I'm just not gonna be on that. And the young folks can be mad all they want. Oh, so and so, dude, why is you so emotional? Like I always tell them, you at 25 don't get to be madder than me at 55. Me at 55 doesn't get to be madder than people at 75. And people at 75 don't get to be madder than the people at 95, because this is a continuation of an issue that we've been suffering since we came over in the bottom of these ships. The only thing they haven't taught us since we've been here was unity. They taught us separation. They taught us hate. Self-destruction taught by the destructional teachers. We in the fields, they in the bleachers. They always watching. And they only go after the ones that's really presenting themselves as susceptible to the nonsense. Oh, are you saying that cops are looking to kill people? Maybe not the way you think, but given the choice or the chance, you will be dead. And that's the whole thing with these situations. Dead is dead. It don't make a difference if that cop gets 1,000,000 years or whatever. You not coming back. This young man that was just shot in Minneapolis had 2 kids. You didn't think about your 2 kids at that moment? Somebody tell me, how you think that was going to turn out? Tell me what happens when a cop has you about to put you in handcuffs, you break away and try to escape. How does that turn out? Oh, well, they shouldn't have shot him. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get shot in your ass. Cop stops and talks to you. You're supposed to say, am I being detained or arrested, officer? If they say no, then you can make that choice of saying, okay, well, I'm going to move on. They may still grab you, may still be assholes, may still arrest you, may take you around the corner and kick your butt. You're going to have to learn to take it. You're going to have to man up and think about the world as it changes without you in it. How does it change for your brothers and sisters? How does it change for your family? But most of the time, we're not thinking. We just out here. I like the player unions and all these people are stepping up and things are changing in certain arenas, but the background of all that is money. And so the devil will always change to keep things going his way. So the devil don't want the money messed up. So we just got to think differently. We got to be different. And we got to keep pushing. Like I say, I just wanted to come on for a little bit. I wound up talking too long. But thank everybody for joining. If you want to drop us an email, the show, 1965@yahoo.com. Or you can give us a call. During the show, we didn't open up the lines today, 650-560-4388. That is our calling number. We will be back next week. at Thursday at our normal time. Sorry for the technical difficulties of earlier today, but it is what it is, and we gonna get out of here like we always do. Like I said, my sister out there, she giving me love. Love my sister, Nikki. Hopefully we're gonna see you soon. And on that note, we're gonna do it like we always do. Love, peace, soul. I think I'm gonna end the show a little different tonight. Should I do it? I found the thing I like. No, next week I'll play that with the piece I want to play at the beginning of the show by Big Crit. So as we say, love, peace, soul. We out of here.
Step out of the car. I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
I refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Now if your woman ain't no revolutionary, she'll persuade you to be a fucking slave for the rest of your days. She'll be grooming you on how to behave, teaching you how to coon and buck dance so that you can be safe. If that brother ain't no rider, soldier, no provider, molder of young minds, check it out. You got yourself a bitch. Think about the time that you invested in him. If he's wearing them skinny jeans, you a lesbian. For every 100 black women who ain't locked up, it's only 83 black men remain. Take away 1.5 million black men who might have benefited their women and their children. You don't know a war when it's waged against you, when it makes you drive your baby mama to the clinic just to kill your own. Ain't no legacy to leave behind, cause ain't nobody sitting on your throne. You motherfuckers are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga. Sandra Bland was a rider. She wouldn't have committed suicide, and you a motherfucking liar. It would not be wise to stop when you hear sirens and you see the police behind you, but you don't wanna die. They gon' shoot you if you run. They gon' say that you was going for the police gun. That's why they shot you like 120 times, but you was still coming, so they put another bullet in your lung. Them devils got you praying while they murder, because they know you on that bullshit. They steady with them full clips and body armor. They kill your women in the street, cause they figure you too weak to do anything about it. You some shit, getting fucked in your sleep. They poison you every time you brush your teeth. You don't care, you behave like a slave. A bitch from the cradle to the grave, on your knees with your hands out, begging cause you wanna be saved. Are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga.